Well, hello and good day, or good day, mates. This is the MoJo Monday, and a place where we come and we hear authentic, real human being stories, and we're also educated from a real life. This lady is so authentic tonight, so we're in for a treat. We're going to be introducing her in just a moment. Before we go there, Kjersti, how about we just acknowledge all the VIPs on this line tonight? Shall we do that first?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So what does 95% of the planet not do? They don't show up. And a bunch of them don't know anything about Zalevo yet. So we want to acknowledge each and every one of you for showing up with an open mind, hopefully an open heart. And you're going to be privy tonight to some definitely, I would say even the word desperately needed information. And it's one of the big challenges facing our current modern day society and life, people that are on our quest for optimal health and vitality. So we want to welcome everybody. Kjersti, with your permission, I'd love to pop up the disclaimer slide real quick, if that you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that out. Just give me
I have
one.
it as well, but you can, you're welcome to show yours.
All right. Yep, I can do that.
Okay, so before you do that, guys, Kjersti is our Chief Science Officer. It feels awesome to say that. Many of us have known Kjersti. How many of you have known Kjersti more than 10 years, 15 years, going on 20? Do I hear it there? Do I hear? Anyway, we love this lady. And I personally, in my honeybee, we met Kjersti a number of years ago. Deep. Also, how many of you have this unconditional trust in her and what she represents and what she stands for? She has been around health and wellness on many levels. She grew up in a formulator's household who is known around the planet, and we miss him. We loved him dearly, and he touched many lives. And then Kjersti is stepping in those footsteps. And oh my goodness, she's interviewed literally now. What do we say, Kjersti? Thousands of interviews with leaders and wellness experts and all these different experts in nutrition and next level living. And then when she came on board Zalevo, she surrounded herself with, I love using the word thoroughbreds, because these people who have heart, these people all equally on a mission. And literally, if you combine, what do you think, Kjersti, with all your beautiful team, literally several hundred years.
Yeah, it literally is hundreds, because it takes a lot of hands to do what we're doing here. Think about it, just from the ideation to formulation to sourcing ingredients and procuring those ingredients to, blending and in production and testing and just everything to get all of the formulations ready to go for you guys to be able to ship to your homes. And it's a lot. So yeah, I love my different various teams of people for sure.
For sure. And the team keeps growing, and what a blessing. So if you don't mind, if you can tee up we want to make sure our company's here for our grandkids and their grandkids. So if you can address that.
Yep. So, oh, wait, that's not the right one. Let's just go through here. Hang on. No, don't have it, Robert.
Okay, I have it, Kjersti.
Yeah, I'll let you share.
Yeah, let me pause that real quick.
I pulled up that big blue slide thinking that was it, and it wasn't.
All good.
Yeah.
All good. So it's right here. Do you want to explain what this slide represents?
Yeah. It's important for us to not make claims. Zalevo is not here to cure, treat, or prevent any kind of disease. But we know that there's a lot of people out there that they're not feeling too good. They're not feeling hot. They're looking for answers. They're looking for methods. They're looking for tools that they can help to transform their bodies and live as healthy of a life as possible. And Zalevo is a beautiful choice for that. So, and of course, before you start Zalevo or any other protocol or lifestyle program, we always encourage you to discuss it with your healthcare professional in case there's any any things that you need to be aware of on an individual basis, whether you're taking medications or you've got specific health challenges. So it's just important to know that we're here to feed and nourish, and not here to cure and treat and prevent.
Yes. Well said, Miss Kjersti. And I did want to address this real quick. This is where the crazy name came from. It's a beautiful name in origin. That we help elevate ourselves and others around us to their highest potential. What a beautiful mission as well, Kjersti.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes.
I remember when we were all sitting around a boardroom, just, what are we going to name this? Because we needed a new name, right? The company was called HealthSync Global, as many of you know. And we wanted to recreate the entire product line. And in that process, we were like, oh man, we really need a brand and a look and a feel that is going to be in alignment with the sophistication and the elevated formulations. And so we decided that we spent hours, this is no lie, hours on Zoom calls as a leadership team, like putting things together. And we ended up with Zalevo, which is obviously Alevo and Zenith combined. And there was two people specifically that were sitting around that boardroom that kind of paired the two. And as soon as everyone heard it, we were like, that is it. That is it. That's what it needs to be. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
We're so glad you did. So tonight we have the distinct, let me see if I can get here. My computer freezing up. There it is. So I put this little additional word in there. Hope you're okay with that. I put the unnecessary at times, yet exploding epidemic. I know, Kjersti, as I mentioned before, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and to step into our dialogue tonight. 1 second, guys. All right, let me stop this. Kjersti will be pulling up her whiteboard momentarily. So, Kjersti, we were at leadership meeting. There was 3 or 4 flip charts that when we all looked at those, what you were educating us on, we were all thinking, everybody we love and cherish in our life needs to know this information. And then we said, Kjersti, could you please hop on a call like this and go through that with us? And here we are. So.
Yep. I love it. And it's true, because the times in which we live in, it's very interesting right now. Our bodies are being combated. And of course, we're looking at statistics, right? We're watching statistics, and we can see certain stats paralleled with other stats. Think about that. If you graphed out any kind of health challenge or statistic based on what's happening in the human body, there are some that are riding parallel to each other completely. Peaks, valleys. So it really is intriguing as the scientific community analyzes the data and can really kind of connect the dots and figure out what's going on. So what we'll be talking about tonight are just a few things that pertain to that.
Yes, and we're so excited, Kjersti. So you have the kind of the 3 little segments that we were dreaming of covering tonight or wishing you would cover. And one was just to kind of tee it up for us. What is this thing called type 3? Followed by a name we've all heard, diabetes. And what's the wake-up call behind that? So
yeah. Well, let me actually, if I may, hang on 1 second. I think that for starters, what I want to make mention here before I share my slides, if you will, because there's a couple of that I want to share with you tonight. When you take a look at the statistics, and we only have back to 2021, we don't have 2020 stats yet here in the United States. But if you take a look at the top 6 diseases and that cause mortality in the United States of America, it's heart disease is number 1, cancer number 2, stroke number 3, 4 is respiratory disease, 5 is Alzheimer's or dementia, and number 6 is diabetes. Now, isn't it interesting that dementia, Alzheimer's is at 5, but diabetes is at 6. Isn't that interesting? Are they directly related to each other, number 5 and number 6? And the answer is yes, they are. So let's talk about dementia for 1 second. Dementia is basically a word that is an umbrella term that's used to describe pretty much every degeneration or degenerative disease of the brain, whether it's Parkinson's or it's Alzheimer's. If the brain is deteriorating and cognitive health is declining, it falls under the dementia category. And what's really interesting is that obesity, diabetes, type 2, and dementia are all correlated together and have risen together. They're all deeply, deeply connected, deeply connected. And so the scientists have really dug in to find out why. Well, type 1 diabetic is someone who, for whatever reason, their pancreas isn't functioning optimally, and they are in a deficit of insulin production. They are completely insulin dependent, meaning they have to have insulin administered to their bodies every day in order to live and survive, because their pancreas isn't secreting insulin, which is the master hormone of the body, to be able to help when macros come into the body with digestion and nutrient utilization and shuttling nutrients and fuels and materials throughout the body. Type 2 diabetes is more adult onset. It happens a little bit later in life, and it's absolutely directly correlated with the lifestyle, what you're eating, what you're drinking, and what you're doing to your body. Obesity is connected to diabetes, to type 2 diabetes. Inactivity is connected to type 2 diabetes. Of course, poor diet is connected to diabetes. So what happens through time is that the body can withstand quite a bit of abuse. But it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when the body starts to rebel. And you end up falling into these avenues and health challenges, whether it's the scale starts to climb, inflammatory response starts to climb, you're just not feeling well, you go to bed exhausted, you wake up feeling actually quite ill in the morning, after you should be waking up feeling resilient and healthy right after a good night's rest. There's just this slow progress of imbalance that takes place in the body. And all of a sudden, the body at some point in time starts to become a bit resistant to the insulin. So here you've got this beautiful pancreas that's secreting insulin, that master hormone, but for whatever reason, the body becomes resistant to the function and the benefit to insulin, which, if your body and your cells are becoming insulin resistance, well, then that means that those fuels, specifically carbohydrates, can't be shuttled into the cell to be used as energy. So if the body is insulin resistance and the insulin can't do its job by shuttling carbohydrates or blood glucose into human cells, then all of a sudden you have a buildup of blood sugar that starts to climb. And that's when blood sugar becomes high. You start to lose control over blood sugar levels. If you lose control of your blood sugar levels, blood glucose, then all sorts of things start to happen. It's an incredible ripple effect throughout the entire body. So again, insulin, this beautiful master hormone, produced by the pancreas, the body becomes resistant to where you can't drive those fuels into the cell for energy. And all of a sudden that blood sugar starts to climb. Blood sugar, higher levels of blood sugar is like etching the insides of all of your vascular system, your capillaries, your veins, your blood vessels, your aorta, all of your piping that carries your blood. If there's high levels of sugar in that blood, it's going to etch like shards of glass on the insides of your vascular system, causing scarring, which then that scarring causes those veins and capillaries to start to retract and narrow. This is why a diabetic ends up with amputations of the appendages, the toes, the fingers, the feet, all the way to the knee. And so if you can't drive that blood sugar down, the etching continues and the scarring of the insides of the vascular system continues. Poor circulation. That's why diabetics lose their eyesight, is because of that etching and that scarring that takes place in those delicate veins and capillaries that feed and nourish the eyes. So it's a real epidemic. It's parallel to obesity. It is a lifestyle disease and condition, and comes with an array of health challenges. We're talking cardiovascular disease, increasing your risk of all sorts of degenerative diseases. So, how does one move beyond this and help their body if they're in this state? And it starts with proper nutrition, control of your macros, which is your proteins, fats, and carbs, good nutrients, antioxidants, and most of all, consistency to putting those good things into the body. So when you can feed and nourish your body and allow the body to receive what it's supposed to be receiving, and you can move your body more into an insulin sensitive state instead of insulin resistant state, then you're going to start conquering and moving the needle in the right direction. So that's just a little bit about diabetes, type 1, type 2, and of course, type 3. Type 3 is the dementia category. So I heard about type 3 diabetes about 2 years ago. And I thought, what in the heck are these doctors talking about? Type 3 diabetes, there's type 1, type 2. I've never heard of type 3. And they've now termed that dementia category, the deterioration of the brain and cognitive health, as type 3, because it's directly related to insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes. So you see, if insulin can't do its job in helping to shuttle fuels into the cells, including brain cells, then the brain develops the inability to use fuels properly. And if the brain cells can't gain fuels properly, then it's almost like that window closes down and shuts down on the amount of nutrients and fuels that can get to the brain to fire the brain up. And as soon as that window closes, because of that insulin resistance being too high, as it narrows, that's when your dementia starts to set in. So if you want to keep that avenue wide open so that you can shuttle those fuels to the brain, you have to have insulin sensitivity to do it, to save the tissue and the cells of the brain, to shuttle those nutrients into the brain, to shuttle the fuels into the brain properly so that the brain can function optimally and not slowly deteriorate. It's either you're keeping them open or you're narrowing the gap, moving into that dementia state, that type 3 diabetes state. So it's amazing to see that dementia has moved into an all-time high. I think during the COVID years, the number of dementia diagnoses increased by 147%. 147%, while cancer and heart disease and all of these, they were just kind of like hunkering down around the center. But dementia cases shot up. So you got to remember, why is that? Well, people were inactive. They were sad, hopeless, eating the wrong things, maybe, and tapped out of society because of restrictions that were put on people worldwide during the COVID pandemic. And it was directly correlated to that. So does it pay to eat healthy? Yes. Does it pay to move your body? Yes. Should you watch your proteins consumption, fat consumption, and carbohydrate consumption? And the answer is yes. So that's kind of like a generalized overview of type 3 diabetes and poorly controlled blood sugar that obviously leads into that dementia category once you go from pre-diabetic to diabetes to type 3 diabetes. Any questions, Robert, before we move on?
Yeah, I'm monitoring the chat, guys. So do put, we'll come back to that toward the end. So please put them in there. And,
okay.
Again, what we were so intrigued about, as I mentioned before, was one of those things that is not simply taught.
Yes, and we'll get to that. That's in point number 3. I want to do with everybody. Shall we move on to point number 2 as far as how we can help? How can we help with that insulin response?
Yeah, for sure. There is a question real quick. You want me to save it to the end, or you want me to address?
No, if it pertains to that first point, I think we should address it before we continue.
It's regarding the role that alcohol can play, alcohol consumption, but we can address that maybe I think it's probably segues most in point number 3. So.
Okay. Yeah. Make sure that we resurrect that, because listen, when it comes to alcohol consumption, it's funny because most people would think like, okay, well then, alcohol's the culprit. I'm telling you, you can carb yourself with the donuts and do the same exact damage with cookies, donuts, and ice cream as you do with a glass of wine or 2.
Right.
Sugar is sugar is sugar is sugar. It is all the same. It's just, where are you getting it? Are you getting it from pineapple? Are you getting it from corn on the cob? Are you getting it from French fries? Are you getting it from chips and salsa? Are you getting it from donuts, Krispy Kreme? They're the best. They melt in your mouth. Come on, right? Let's talk about this for a second. The reality is it refined? Is it not refined? Is it, if it's in a vegetable state, or fruit state, is it better for you? Yes, because it's coming with fiber. It's coming because they're plants. But not so much if you're overeating those things. You can really do some big damage eating a big bowl of pineapple. So it's all about how much is too much. And if you are curious about this and you feel that like, oh man, dementia runs in my family, my mom's diabetic, I really got to make myself, get myself in check here and protect myself and my brain, then invest $200 or $300 in a blood glucose monitor. It will be the best investment of your life. And you can order them online without any kind of doctor supervision. They send you the kit. It is like this little plug. You pop it onto your arm and boom, when you pull the plug away, here's this little disc. And there's a little receptor that's inside of your arm. You don't even feel it go in. You're just like, oh, boom, there it is. It's sealed. You have to pull it off, change it out, put one on the other side the next time. And this little device will Bluetooth to your phone. You can download an app. And so anything you eat, anything, whether it's a steak dinner, mashed potatoes, a piece of cheesecake, a bucket of popcorn, an Ultra 30 shake, you're going to see your blood glucose shoot up or not so much. It is the most fascinating device of the century. So it will allow you to see how your body, you're so unique, like your fingerprint, how you respond to specific foods. And so with that, I would encourage you get one of those, because you can help to take control of whatever you're eating and whatever you're drinking and how it's affecting you personally. And we'll get into a little bit more of that in just a little bit. But any other questions that we want to talk about before we move on, Robert?
Just one very intriguing comment. I'd love to get your intake on your feedback on this. Kimberly Penny, who we love, Kimberly said she heard a scary stat, and it was from a successful neurosurgeon. He says that because of his research, he anticipates that over half of the millennial generation will come down with dementia or Alzheimer's. Any response to that comment?
Well, you know, statistics like that where they're forecasting on trends. And should we be alarmed? Yes, we should. You know, can we do something about it? Yes, because the millennials, they're the younger population, obviously. They are young and very influential. So I have a feeling that we're not going to be given a choice as far as being able to buy whatever we want and abuse our bodies. I think people are really going to trend in a new direction. It's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of when the awareness becomes so real, because we're losing people right and left due to degenerative diseases. It used to be, I mean, we already see the trend, you guys. Think about this. It used to be that supplementing was luxurious and only if you had money. And whereas people are just like, no, I'm just going to eat my veggies and I'll be fine. But now supplementation isn't necessarily a luxury. It is something essential that we should do, all of us. And to where even medical journals are finally admitting that everybody needs to be taking a multivitamin. Everybody needs to be fortifying their bodies with elements, whether trace minerals, minerals, vitamins, nutrients, and heaven forbid, antioxidants. Like antioxidants, tuck them into every parts of your day at any given time, because your body is being bombarded by pathogens, free radicals, much more than ever before. So if we want to stave off the free radical damage and the damage to our cells causing rapid cell death, then we really need to take responsibility and put good things into our body. And you got to eat it. You got to eat it. You got to put it into the body so that the body can bring it into the bloodstream and assist the cells. So yeah, it's a big deal. So stats help to guide us, but I do believe that there's going to be a pretty big awakening on taking more control over our health.
Yeah, our hands being called. So
Yep.
so Kjersti, thank you for that. So, and then we point number 2 was, what is the role? When it comes to, we steer very clear away from any claims medically, prognosis, diagnosis, etc. That all being said, we're dealing with high-level nutrition when it comes to our particular supplements with Zalevo. What's the role they play in this journey here?
Yeah. So it is just that. So Zalevo provides macro components, your proteins, your fats, your carbohydrates. We are not in the carb business, and we are not in the snacking business. We are in helping your body, giving you tools so that you yourself have better control over your days to open the body to insulin resistance versus open your body to insulin sensitivity versus insulin resistance. We don't want to feed into the things that we are struggling with. So we provide the body all of your basic essentials, from proteins, healthy fats, minimal carbohydrates, minerals, trace minerals, all vitamins, probiotics, prebiotics, antioxidants, specific botanicals that help the body stay in that state of homeostasis, to equip your body to be able to be more resilient to stress. The list goes on and on. And so that's what we're in the business about doing, is providing the body concentrated doses of nutrients that God intended us to receive anyhow. We're just putting it in a formula and in an easy to take package that you can bring to your doorstep, mix it in water and bring it into the body. And then the body just does what it's designed to do. We've been preaching this forever, right? I don't care I don't care who you are, what your gender is, where you live, what continent you're on. We're all human and we all stand in need of specific nutrients. And either you're getting it or you're not. Either you're getting an inferior source or a premium source. Either you're getting the right amounts or you're getting undercut amounts and dosing and formulations out there. It is, we have guarded against so many things in the industry. Like if you're going to do something to move the needle with your health and well-being, I talk about this all the time. You can walk into a big box store, you can walk into, Costco, health and wellness stores, and it is like top to bottom shelves of so many supplements. And what's interesting is you can spend $20 on one ingredient inside like 30 capsules, $20 for one ingredient. And so how does the consumer even navigate and know what they should be putting in, and is it complete? And that is one thing that Zalevo drives for, is not only are we doing clinical dosing that is clinically and scientifically proven to be efficacious in the body and to drive results into the body. And we're not overdoing either. We're not over flooding your body with probiotics. We're not over flooding your body with vitamin C. We're very scientifically calculating on that dose. And of course, how things work synergistically together. Like for instance, look at burn mode. There are 3 ingredients inside of burn mode that when you put them together at specific quantities, it ignites the liver. So there's there's so much that went in to these formulations. I can't even begin to tell you. It's and another thing too is we guard against fairy dusting. You will never see fairy dusting. Fairy dusting is where a company comes out with a formula, and I give this example all the time of the claim of ashwagandha. Everybody loves ashwagandha. It's a botanical that is an adaptogen. It helps the body in stress. There are companies that pop in 50 milligrams of ashwagandha. Even at a high concentrate, you might as well drink a glass of water because it's not going to do much in the body. So that is what we call fairy dusting. They're putting in only 50 milligrams because the stuff is expensive, especially if you're getting the good quality stuff. And they're putting it in at that amount to get it onto the label. So the consumer's like, ooh, this has ashwagandha. And so they invest their hard-earned money into that product, thinking it's going to do something. And I think this is why a lot of people too are so gun shy. They start something and then they fail, and they start something and then they fail. And then they're just hopeless. They're just like, I've been on 52 diets and I've tried this supplement and I've tried that supplement. And I can honestly say that I've had the most fun at Zalevo because we drive results. There are only 2 things where you don't get results when someone begins Zalevo, and that's a low thyroid or SIBO, which stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Those are the only 2 health challenges that we run up against if someone begins Zalevo and they don't get results. And so we have them go back to their healthcare professional to work with them on that first. So it is so exciting and so worthwhile. I can sleep at night, you guys, leading my exceptional team and guarding these beautiful formulations that we've all created. I can sleep at night knowing that you guys are getting the best of the best, and that the only thing that you need to do as the consumer is just to have the consistency to consume it on a daily basis, and then you just watch the magic happen. That's the most exciting thing.
Yeah, that's a big underutilized. I'd always talked about just simply be consistent with these good healthy habits. And speaking of that, Kjersti,
Yeah.
I know one of those charts was talking about food combining. I know,
Yeah.
and we were all kind of blown away with the simplicity of it, yet how powerful that is. And
Yep.
I would like you to go over that with us. And by the way, I do want to send out a note to, I think it was Ricky here had a question. And then I get to your question, Ricky. For now, I'm sorry, Tracy did. And so Tracy, we'll come back around to that. So Kjersti, could you step into that beautiful explanation?
Absolutely. Let me open up a whiteboard. Can you guys see that? Yeah? Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Okay. Let me move this. Let me make my cute little sticky note. Let's talk about a couple different things here. Controlled macros. Let's begin there. Okay. Controlled macros this is a very, very important topic because this goes back into the insulin resistance or the insulin sensitivity. What should you be working on when it comes to macros? And there's only 3 macros: proteins, fats, and carbs. That's all it is. Macros are proteins, fats, and carbs. That is your material in which you're going to build your body with. As far as muscle and cell regeneration, of course, minerals and trace minerals funnel into that along with fats and so on and so forth. But that's your brick and mortar, basically. Your fats and your carbohydrates, those are your fuels. So however you're bringing those fats and those carbs into the body is going to dictate what is your body going to use for fuel. So if you're putting too many carbs into your body, your cells, they're going to eat up the carbohydrates for fuel before the fat. If you lower your carbohydrate consumption and increase your fat consumption, not too fast, we're going to talk about that in a second. But if you do that, if you have more controlled carbohydrates and more controlled fats, your body will learn how to use fat for fuel instead of being so carb dependent for fuel. And again, that will save your brain. That will save your brain. That's why the Ultra 30 is higher proteins, higher fats, lower carbs. Your net carb load of 2 scoops of Ultra 30 is 6 net carbs. Okay. So how do you begin on controlling your carbs? And that is where protein daily intake comes in. So your daily intake of protein is where you start off. Calculate it out on where you're at with your daily protein intake. And in general, let me show you what that looks like. If you're sedentary, your number is 0.8. Okay. If you're active, your number is 1. I would just say 1. Okay. If your desire is weight loss, bear with me here, guys. Okay. Bear with me here. If you are into weight loss and you want to lose inches and pounds, your number is 1.5. I think I'm actually skipping one in here. So it's active. It's sedentary active. No, that's right. I'm going to go 1.2 for the active. So write that down. Next up, there's only 5 categories. Next up is, so sedentary, active, weight loss, athletic. Your number is 1.7. And no, it's not. It's sedentary. What is it? Sedentary. Help me out. Who has their little chart that I made? Because the active is, hang on, I'll pull it.
I think it's 1.8 at the highest need.
Yeah, give me 1 second, guys. I don't want to leave the whiteboard. That's why I don't want to leave the whiteboard in the sense of showing you the graph. but I'll pull it up here separately so that I can look to see, because this is really important stuff, guys, as far as your daily protein intake. I want you to calculate it while we're together tonight so that you are going to leave this call knowing what you, okay, I got you.
Hey,
Okay.
Kjersti, just an insight for everybody.
It's too, sorry, it's too athletic. So an athletic to maintain is 1.7. Sorry, Robert, give me 1 second. Let me finish this thought before you continue. And then an athlete that wants to gain is, I'll put 2. All right, that's it. 5 categories. Pick what is you. Okay. Next up is write that number down, whether it's 0.8 or it's 1.5. Write that number down. Take your goal weight, divide it by 2.2. Goal weight divided by 2.2. That's step number 2. Step number 1 was to select your activity level. Step number 2 is your goal weight divided by 2.2. That is your weight in kilos. Now you take that kilo weight and you divide it, or you times it by your number. So if weight loss was your number, 1.5, you take 1.5 and you times it by your weight in kilos. That's going to give you the number of grams that you need to ingest every single day. My amount of protein that I should be ingesting every single day is 100 grams of protein a day. For some men, it's 140, 150, 160. The rule of thumb is that once you get your number, divide it out into 35 or 40 gram increments. This is going to determine how many times a day you need to be eating, if it's 3 times a day or 4 times a day. 3 times a day or 4 times a day. This is about as complex as it's going to get tonight, guys, is to calculate your daily protein intake. It's so funny because people are so resistant, and I don't know if it has to do with math, but this is the most important thing you can do with your day, is to calculate your daily protein intake. Figure it out. What's your activity level? What's your magic number? What's your goal weight in kilos? And times the 2 together. That's it. That's all it is. And write that number down. And you know, someone asked the other day, okay, well, I'm supposed to be intaking 150 grams of protein a day. It was a guy. And he goes, can I do intermittent fasting, which is like 16 hours of not eating, 8-hour window of eating? And the answer is no. Because how is he going to squeeze 150 grams of protein into 8 hours, right? So he needs more time, a wider span of time in his day in order to roll that protein into different parts of his day. So that is for starters, calculate your protein intake. That is such an important thing to focus on and to do. Next up is antioxidants.
Hey, Kjersti.
Yep.
Yeah, the note I was making to everybody on this call and listening to the recording is Zalevo, the team, the corporate team, the IT team, we're putting a protein calculator so you won't even need to have the formula right into our coaching page. So look for that in the next couple of weeks, but we are putting a simple little, you go there, you enter your category, and it spits out your protein recommendations.
Yep. I love that. Yep. And that is true. We're going to make it easy for you because this is such an essential step to health and wellness and your results that we do. We'll have that built in onto the site. We're working on it right now. Fasting and autophagy. Okay. So on top of your daily protein intake, you're going to want to focus on antioxidants, probiotics, fasting and autophagy. Build those into your month, okay? Into your day for antioxidants, probiotics through Burn Mode, Fortitude 85, E-Vibe, Drench. Those are loaded with lots of beautiful antioxidants, probiotics inside of Daily and Trim, Biome Sync Daily, Biome Sync Trim. And then, of course, introducing fasting, no snacking for fasting, in order for your body to trigger autophagy, which is a massive cell cleanup. It's where the body goes after dysfunctional rogue cells that are no longer serving wherever they're located at in the body. Your body will go after and break those cells down. It will also go after internal cell components and rebuild them, break them down and rebuild them. It's like the finest tune-up for your body and for your cells is autophagy. So you've got to build that in as well. So these are, again, going back to why we're covering this, is how can we support our bodies and help with that healthy insulin response and healthy insulin sensitivity. And it starts with your daily protein intake. It's antioxidants, it's probiotics, it's fasting and autophagy, right? And then also too, let's see here, make one more here, okay? And that is ketosis, which ketosis ignites before fasting and autophagy. You can kickstart it with fasting. And if you watch your carbohydrate consumption on a daily basis, you can actually be in ketosis, a mild state of ketosis each and every day if you focus on your proteins, fats, and lower carbohydrates. So let's get down to what Robert was talking about in regards to what he saw at our special leadership event. And that is that when you're talking about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, you want to make sure that you're guarding against your protein intake for sure. But let me show you something here. If you eat protein with fat, that is going to equal an insulin reaction that looks something like this.
Kjersti, we're still seeing your little sticky notes on the farm, not if you're drawing.
Oh, really? Can you see that now?
Not yet. No.
I'm seeing the whiteboard, Robert.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe I'm a co-presenter and I'm just seeing her old. You're saying the whiteboard. Are you seeing her drawing, Carol?
Yes.
Okay, pardon me, Kjersti. I just don't see it on my end. So,
well, let's actually make sure that
I'm only seeing the boxes.
yeah,
I'm
me
still
too.
seeing the
I'm
okay,
only
still
seeing
fasting
boxes
up
too.
autophagy.
Thank you, guys. Yes, you see what I see then. So we
Yep.
can just see the boxes.
Let me stop sharing. Actually,
If you click on the 1 and 2 pages in the bottom right hand corner, you can get to the second page.
Thank you, Beth.
oh,
Kiddo technology.
Well, and I'm on my phone too, and one had one picture and one had the other,
Okay.
because I'm on my phone and tablet.
Okay.
okay. Well, that's all right. I think you have my diagram, but that's okay, Robert, because you're the host, so you've got it. That's all right. So let me just recreate this. All right. So let's talk about if you eat proteins with fats, you're going to get a beautiful, let's see here, boom, bada bing. You're going to get a nice insulin reaction that looks something like this. This is symbolic of your blood glucose level, okay? Is this nice little insulin reaction. It peaks up and comes back down. This, if you can eat proteins and fats, and have a beautiful, nice, normal little insulin reaction, it's anti-inflammatory. Now, if you have proteins with carbohydrates, you're going to get an insulin reaction much like this. If I can get that. It'll look a little bit higher. Okay, but you're going to have a little bit more control than the next one. So you can see there's a little bit more of a climb on the insulin reaction, and you're kind of in a little bit of a danger zone. So if you're going to eat carbs, you better make sure there's proteins riding into those carbs to slow the release of those carbohydrates to mitigate a high insulin reaction. This is very kind of a medium as far as insulin reaction is concerned. But what's dangerous is if you take fats with carbohydrates, fats and carbs together, no protein, you're going to induce a response that looks like this. That's called insulin spiking. Insulin spiking is very pro-inflammatory in the body. Good examples of fats and carbs is buttered popcorn. It's chips and salsa. It's anything carby and fatty, cheesecake. All right. So when you're going to eat your macros, proteins, fats, and carbs, always have protein involved. Always, always. Control your carbs, focus on proteins, fats, so that you can control your insulin reaction to what you're eating. The better you can control this bell curve, the better that you're going to feel, the more stable you're going to have with blood sugar, the less inflammatory response you're going to have, the more you're going to feed onto the insulin sensitivity side instead of the insulin resistance side. So you're also going to protect your brain. So hopefully this helps as far as proteins and fats, proteins and carbs, and then of course fats and carbs combine in what's taking place in the body. The blood glucose monitor, like I was sharing, that will help for you to actually see inside of the body based on what it's tracking after you eat certain things. The other thing I'll share is this, is don't juice. Don't juice anything. If you're going to eat vegetables or eat fruits, eat them in their God-given state with the skin and the fiber. The second you pull and you break the membranes that are within the microscopic little membranes that are holding little sacks of juice and goodness inside of the fruit, whether it's a citrus or it's an apple or it's a cucumber or it's celery, eat it with everything that comes with that, so that you're getting in with that the fiber, which slows the release of the natural fructose within the fruits or the vegetables. So that would be my last tip is, again, protein calculator, watch your carb loading, focus on proteins and fats. You see that the insulin reaction is a much higher spike when you combine carbs and fats together, and protein is not riding into the body with it. Don't juice anything, eat things in their natural states. And when it comes to fruits and vegetables, loads of antioxidants, balance your gut microbiome. That will help with digestion of those proteins, fats, and carbs. It will also, all of those beautiful bacteria in the gut, that will also help not only with digestion, but also nutrient utilization, to be able to pull those nutrients out of those foods that are digesting and shuttle them out into the blood so that they can make it to the cell. It's a fascinating thing. What goes into your body is going to build your body and directly impact the health of your cell, the health of all of your cells, and the outcome is your state of health in which you're sitting in right now. So make adjustments accordingly. And the other thing too is it's not all or nothing here. This is what I'll end on, and then we can go into questions. Is it's not all or nothing. It's not about being perfect all the time. You should go on the cruise and eat the cheesecake and the twisty cone on level deck 7. You enjoy life. You're going to go to a wedding. You've got things coming up. We want you to live and enjoy your life. It's what you do in the majority of the days that surround those special moments and holidays that really, really, truly make the difference on the long term. So just be consistent with what you're doing, and you will feel the difference. You will feel the difference and help others to experience that too.
Awesome. Yeah, does everybody agree? Who agrees that what we just saw with that simple illustration, proteins and fats, a nice little gentle proteins and carbs, and then carbs and fats, was that helpful to anyone on this line? So yeah, that right there needs to be taught to everybody walking this planet. So thank you, Kjersti. And along those lines, Kimberly Penny would ask this question. You know what's coming, Kjersti. So does the proteins and fat slight curve include hot butter, popcorn, and beef? Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Kimberly? Sure does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
listen, hey, when we go to the show, when we go to the movie, do we end up getting butter popcorn? Yes, we do. Do I feel sick afterwards? Yes, but it tastes good, right? So, I mean, if you eat hot butter popcorn multiple times in a month or even once a week, is it going to be daunting a little? Yeah, it sure is, but how often are you going to go to the movies? So enjoy it and splurge it. Even Dr. Harper and I, we've talked about that. Dr. Harper's like, I can't go to the movies. I have to have butter popcorn with the Coca-Cola, classic Coca-Cola. But he's like, but I get the small. I eat the small. I don't get the large. I don't do the super size. I don't go for the refill. So just go and enjoy it. And who cares, right? It's classic. So
yeah, it boils down to consistency, as you said. So
yep.
And from Tracy again, thanks Tracy for these great questions. He was just curious whether we classify diabetes, even type 1 or type 3, as tied to an autoimmune disorder, or what's the category?
No, it's really inefficiencies of insulin. Insulin is a nifty little molecule, a nifty little hormone, and in the molecular structure of insulin, it's just the cells become resistant to the mechanics of what that molecule is supposed to be doing. So can autoimmune issues set in? Yes, because when you're insulin resistant and in that diabetic state, your immune system is compromised. It is absolutely compromised. So can other autoimmune issues set in your diabetic state? And the answer is yes. They can for some. So, yep.
Okay. And Tracy, if we answered your question, well, hopefully we have. If not, chime in here. So, and also Beth, also Miss Beth Basca reminded us that all of us are promoting the Renfro scale and how it really helps to stay motivated, inspired, and we see what's happening. Any comments around that particular device and how effective it is?
Yeah, one thing going back to that previous question, because I do want to make sure that I do say this, because it could be that with type 1, they're specifically asking autoimmune with type 1 diabetes. And yes, that can be the case, where the body will attack the islet cells within the pancreas that actually affect the pancreas's ability to produce the insulin. So yes, that can be the case. What causes the pancreas to not be able to produce insulin is it's different for many. It could be that someone contracted a virus and that virus nestled itself into the pancreas in the sense that it damaged some cells, and therefore the body then becomes deficient in insulin production. Blood sugars rise like crazy because you don't have that hormone in there to drive that blood glucose into the cell. So can it be autoimmune in the type 1 diabetic state? Yes, but sometimes not. So going back to the Renfo scale. I love it. $30, best $30 you'll ever invest. Step on that sucker in the nudie in the morning, no clothes, empty bladder, and see what it states. It's not going to lie. This is a retention tool for those of you that are building a significant business in Zalevo, because we love it. We're like, bring it, because we want you to step on that scale. We know what results you're going to get. And if things aren't shifting in the right direction, it'll teach you, like, maybe you're not hitting your protein loads. Maybe your carbs are a little higher because your fat burning slowing down, or maybe you're fasting too much because you're starting to your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, starting to tip down. So there's a lot of different things that you can look and that it graphs out and Bluetooths to your phone, that you can watch your own biomarkers and see what's happening internally. You can watch your hydration increase. You can watch it increase percentage points. You can watch your bone density increase percentage points. It's just the coolest thing ever. Best investment. So yep, go get one if you don't have one.
Yeah, it's an amazing device for sure. Thank you. And thank you, Beth. And from Craig Hewitt here, awesome guy, by the way. Aloha, Craig. Let's see. He blends whole fruits, charred beef leaves into a shake. So do you, and if we combine it with the right ratio, does it, again, you see what the question's referring to, are you referring to the machines that separate the pulp, or is it okay to blend everything in there with the Ultra 30 ingredients?
Yeah, well, it's kind of both. So if you're looking at a quarter of a banana, frozen banana to go into your shake, like a super ripe banana, hey, if you're going to put banana in your shake, ripen that sucker, cut it into quarters, peel it, cut it into quarters, put it on a cookie sheet and freeze it and use that as your ice. It's going to be flavor, sweetness, and ice. If it's super ripe, you don't need a full banana. You only need a quarter of a banana because it's going to be more robust in flavor. And so go that route. You know, if you can do flavor extracts, that's fun because that's 0 calories and it adds essence in there, whether it's putting essential orange oil in there with a vanilla to make an orange creamsicle shake, or mint inside of your chocolate to make a chocolate mint shake. It's 0 calorie introduction. So get creative, make some recipes and have fun. People are on a solid pumpkin kick. They do a quarter cup and they take their pumpkin puree, organic pumpkin puree, and they line their muffin tins with some plastic wrap and do the pumpkin puree in there. And then once it's put it in the freezer, freeze it. And then you can just, once they're frozen, pop them out and peel that plastic wrap off, stick it in a container and keep them frozen. And then you just drop a frozen pumpkin solid into your blender. And that's your ice. And you add your water and your vanilla shakes, nutmeg, cinnamon, a little bit of extra vanilla if you want it. And it's your pumpkin pie smoothie. So get creative and have some fun in regards to a shake. But when it comes to pureeing vegetables or fruits, eat them whole. You know, whether you saute your kale or saute your spinach, that's the best for dark leafy greens, is to saute, to release and to break them down a little bit. But yeah, have fun. Could you take spinach and roughly chop it and put it with a bit of water and rough pulse so that there's, you know, pretty good chunks of leafy greens, whether it's kale, and freeze it that way and make kale ice cubes and use that? Yes, you could. Is it going to increase your fiber intake? Yes. You know, I would say just get creative. What you don't want is to sit there and juice every single one of your vegetables into an 8-ounce glass and then drink that down. That's not that would be a disservice to the body.
Yeah, great response there. Great information. In regards to insulin sensitivity as well, or just a good standard question. One of our associates, Barb, is doing her collagen and burn mode right at night before bedtime. Any comments around that? Is that kind of a bedtime beverage?
If she loves it, go for it. Barbara, if you love it and it feels good, do it.
Yeah.
I spoke to somebody, this is so funny, an Aussie, one of our Aussies. she's like, listen, I've been taking Fortitude 85 and I'm feeling like really energetic and I'm not sleeping. I go, well, are you taking it at night? And she goes, yes, because I was told at like 2 a.m, 2 before bed. And I said, you're like me. You can't take Fortitude 85 at night. It keeps you up. So adjust accordingly. Some people love Fortitude at night, and it helps them go to sleep, whereas others, it keeps them up. So just do what really works really well with your biochemistry.
Yep. Great. And one comment, it was a question, but just so everybody knows, there are some great recipes over on the Your Next Level Facebook community as well. And I know, Kjersti, I'm sure we'll be building out as we move along and evolve as a company, even a more robust recipes and different blends. And
oh, here's another fall recipe. This is so good. So take an apple and do not peel it, just core it. Cut it in about 1-inch cubes, put it into your, put it in a bowl, melt a little bit of organic coconut oil and drizzle it over your apple chunks. Give it a good stir, dash with nutmeg, dash with cinnamon, stir it again, and then put it in a parchment lined air fryer. And air fry those suckers for about 20 minutes and get some fried baked apples. Pull them out of the fryer. You might have to halfway through it, stir them up and then put them back in for another 10 minutes. But get them fried and then take a 1/2 cup of baked fried apples into bowls. And then your topping is a combination of Greek yogurt, organic, unsweetened, unflavored Greek yogurt, a dash of vanilla, a little bit of milk, almond milk, oat milk, just to kind of with consistency, and then 2 scoops of Ultra 30 vanilla whey. And you just stir it in a bowl like it's whipping cream, and you just, not that it's going to whip, but you just kind of get your little vanilla sauce going there. Add a little bit more nut milk if you need to for consistency, and then you just drizzle a healthy amount of that over your apples. Oh my gosh, it's like apple cream a la mode. It's so good, and it's got great protein. Again, you're getting, if you're going to eat those apples, which are carbs, get that protein in, which is coming in from your Ultra 30 and your Greek yogurt. And it's an amazing thing because it's apple season, right?
wow, we'll have to get that one and put it there in the on the page and get it out to the community. So Kjersti,
I think it's in the Facebook group. Robert, just do a search for apple recipes and see if it pulls up. If not, someone message me and I'll come in and dump in the card because it's a recipe card that I've got already
okay,
made.
well, in that case, yeah, hopefully everybody knows how to go to the Facebook group, Your Next Level, and just go to the search box in that group and type in like apple or type in recipes, and you'll see all these. There's a growing number of recipes already in there. So Kjersti, we love you. We're so grateful for who you are, your pursuit of excellence, and we're all recipients of that because of your exquisite approach to how you live life, much less how you put together these formulations. So guys, if you can, we're going to do a 1, 2, 3 in a moment. We're going to ask everybody to unmute and yell out, love you, thank you, whatever you want to this beautiful lady, our Chief Science Officer with Zalevo. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Kjersti.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Appreciate you much.
Thank
Love you.
We love you.
Love you too. You guys are all beautiful. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, thanks everybody. And we always yell out our favorite core value as well, if you're up to it. So Force for Good, it's called. And here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Force for good.
Good.
Love you guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Kjersti.
Hey, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.